Tonight I'm going to teach you how to build a suspension bridge. The next big step in our indoor treehouse construction is the suspension bridge. As with everything on this treehouse, this bridge needs to be strong enough to handle kids jumping on it with no concern of breakage. Originally, I was not going to have anything between the two platforms other than the bridge, but after noticing some slight movement in one platform when I pushed on it, I decided to lock in the span between the two platforms with a log. This is also strong enough for me to hang on. Once that span was in place, I made the 4 posts by cutting them to length and stripping all of the bark off of the logs. I then measured and cut out a notch for the post to rest on the top surface of the platform. The other end of the post contained a 1-inch diameter hole for the large rope handrail to pass through. I wanted the bridge to be able to support the full weight of anyone on it entirely through the bridge deck, independent of any rope handrails. In order to do this, I used 2 3/16" wire ropes, which are each rated to hold 800 pounds. The slats on the bridge are 2x4s, which have been sanded and drilled through with an extra long drill bit. The boards were then stained and finished on all sides. After finishing, I decided to drill another hole for the rope cargo net to pass through. So each board has a hole drilled right here for the rope coming out that will be part of the handrail, and a hole drilled right here which is for the cable passing through each of the boards. This is what I'll have at either end of the bridge. There's a 3/16" wire rope. I have a big 1/8" thick washer, and then I have these wire rope clips that can clamp down. You can tighten them onto the wire. You always put 2 of these together, and I put an extra loop in here just to add some redundancy, make sure that it wouldn't come out. So this will be at one end. I'll thread everything on, and then I'll put the same thing on the other end. As I started assembling the bridge slats, I put a 3/8" rubber spacer between each of the boards to keep them separated from each other and to adjust for the curvature of the bridge. I would recommend having lots of extra length in your wire rope in order to be able to pull the slats up once they're all threaded onto the wires. I didn't have enough wire, so I rigged up a rope crossing underneath the slats that I could use to raise up the entire bridge until I could get the wires through the opposite platform. Also, it's important to have a really clean cut on the wire in order to feed it through everything. The cleanest cutting method I found was to wrap it in electrical tape and use a Dremel tool with a cutoff wheel. The upper handrail along the bridge was a large 1-inch diameter rope. This was cut to length and tied at either end. In order to make the cargo net to keep kids from falling off the bridge, I used a very simple method. First, I cut 14 pieces of paracord at 12 feet long. This was folded in half and fed into the large diameter handrail rope. After making sure they were all distributed evenly along the length of the large rope, I started tying simple overhand knots every 4 inches. This matched the spacing of the holes in the bridge deck below. Then I continued the knot tying across the entire net. It's very important that you have plenty of extra rope hanging down when you start. Otherwise, you learn the hard way after making the entire net that your rope is too short. So, for example, this handrail rope is about 2 feet from the bridge deck. Each rope hanging down is 6 feet long. When I finished making the cargo net, this gave me about 9 inches excess under the bridge that I was able to cut off. Finally, the nets were tied to the posts with a clove hitch on the top and bottom. Since building this bridge, the kids and I have done a lot of functional testing followed by a detailed inspection of all the components to make sure nothing is moved or loosened. So far, it's doing great. I still have a lot to do on this treehouse, like the ladders, the lighting, the bucket pulley, not to mention the entire fort underneath, the platforms. So make sure to subscribe to get all of the updates. There's a lot more videos of this coming. Thanks for watching.